It turns out that a core group of Somali Americans or refugees, whatever they were at that point in time, figured out how to game the system, and they figured out that fraud paid, corruption paid, crime paid, because they weren't held accountable. And so they kept doing it until ultimately the house of cards fell down.
No, you couldn't be more right, Laura. And frankly, Ilhan Omar found the blueprint pretty early. She's clearly been in this for personal gain. She's made tens of millions of dollars since she's entered Congress. And what do you know? We find that her friends are getting rich in the process too. But like I said, this is intentional. It's by design. Ilhan Omar was the individual in Congress who introduced this legislation that ultimately led to Feeding Our Future being able to defraud $250 million. And you gotta laugh, because just the other day, she's complaining, well, it's because we don't have guardrails in place, and that's why these third parties were able to go steal from taxpayers. Well, Ilhan, you were in charge of setting up the guardrails.
Hello, Patriots. Welcome back to Harlan Reports. Before we even get started, I need you to do something very important for me and for our country. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with everyone you know. The truth is under attack, and the mainstream media will not tell you what I am about to say. We need to spread this far and wide. We have a story breaking right now that is going to break your heart and then fill it with hope all at once. It is the biggest scandal we have seen in years, and it involves Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and a brave stand-by our President Donald Trump. You need to hear this.
What I uncovered the other day in one of our spending bills making its way through Congress was a $1 million earmark from Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, which was an earmark that was supposedly going to a substance abuse clinic, which actually happened to be housed in a restaurant and run by three individuals that share the same residential address, according to their IRS paperwork. Tons of red flags. So this is what we saw with the fraud involving the daycare centers. Now we see other earmarks coming directly from members of Congress where it seems fraud is being perpetrated as well. So I raised the issue, and fortunately, the House has now stripped that earmark out of that spending bill. But again, this is how easy money has been flowing to bad actors in Minnesota.
Good evening, America. This is Harlan here, your trusted voice in the fight for truth, justice, and the American way. Folks, I have to be honest with you tonight. I am sitting here and it is hard to even speak without my voice shaking. We have a story that is shaking the very foundations of Washington right now. And while it is a massive win for President Donald Trump, it is also a moment of deep sadness for what has been done to our country. Just this morning, on January 10th, 2026, the news broke wide open and it hit me right in the chest. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar has been caught. She was caught trying to take $1 million of your money you worked so hard for, money you paid in taxes, and send it to what she called a substance abuse clinic in Minnesota. But hold on, and this is the part that makes me want to cry. It is not a clinic. It is not a place where sick people get help. It is actually just a restaurant, a place to eat, run by her close friends, operating out of the same address with only 3 people listed on the paper. Think about that for a second. There are no doctors there. There are no kind nurses helping people who are lost and hurting. There is no legitimate help for folks struggling with addiction, folks who are desperate and praying for a way out. It is just a front. It is a trick to move money from your pocket into theirs. It feels like a knife in the back, doesn't it? To think that someone we trust to lead us would do something so cruel. But through the tears, I see a light, who stepped in like the bold leader he is, President Trump. He saw this happening and he stood up. He is exposing this scheme right now as we speak and pushing for immediate indictments. This just happened, folks, minutes ago, and it is sending shockwaves through the halls of power. It hurts to know this betrayal happened, but thank God we have a president who loves us enough to stop it. He is fighting for every single one of us. And that is why Even though my heart is heavy with this news, I have never been prouder to stand with him.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. Several bills today on the agenda. The one that Omar had in there for Somali nonprofit, that bill, they took that out, but there was a bunch of other garbage in there. And the thing that bothers me about all this stuff is that it, they pull one thing out, and I say, what about all this other stuff? And they go, well, we got that. And then they send all this basically unlimited amount of money to places like New York and Chicago. And this is, the transgender stuff and all that can go right into that. And we claim we're doing something about it, but it didn't, even though it's some reductions in spending, but still, without the checks and balances, I just can't vote for it, even though there's some really good stuff that's needed in our area. Bill ends up passing, of course, anyway, and then there's a couple of veto overrides that I did not vote to override the president's veto on. But anyway, I'm kind of disgusted with it. Y'all put us up here to do some stuff, and then we dropped the ball, really. And they talk about all the great stuff that's in there, but then they never talk about all that craziness that they allow. Kind of ticks me off. Anyway, we'll just keep fighting them. Thank y'all for seeing me here. Hey, Moskowitz, what's up, baby?
What's going on, man?
Let me paint a picture for you, simple and clear. Just like I'm talking to my own grandkids around the Sunday dinner table. I want you to close your eyes for a moment. Imagine you are an everyday American. Maybe you are like my friend Mike, driving a truck across state lines, missing birthdays and ball games just to put food on the table. Or maybe you are a single mom, working 2 jobs, tired to your very bones, but you pay your taxes on time every single year because you love this country. You believe that your hard-earned money you sacrificed for, goes to build safe roads, good schools, and real help for people who are hurting. You trust the system. And you trust that when a leader says, we need money to help sick people, they mean it. But then you wake up this morning and you find out that trust was used against you. You find out that someone in Congress, someone with power, tried to sneak $1 million into a big bill. They said it was for a clinic in Minneapolis, a place for healing, a place for hope. But when people started looking closer, and we have to thank God for those sharp-eyed Republicans who did, what they found breaks my heart. They went to the address on the paper. They didn't find a hospital. They didn't find doctors in white coats ready to save lives. They found a restaurant, just a spot serving food run by 3 people who are close friends with Ilhan Omar. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a paperwork error. It was a lie. It is like me inviting you over to my backyard for a barbecue, serving you a hot dog, and then sending a bill to the government claiming I ran a hospital. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? It sounds impossible, but that is exactly what they tried to do to you. It is outrageous. It makes you feel small, doesn't it? Like they think we are not smart enough to notice. Like they think our hard work is just a piggy bank for them and their friends. It brings tears to my eyes to think that while families are struggling to buy groceries, these politicians are playing games with millions of dollars. They looked us right in the face and lied. They took the pain of addiction, a pain that destroys families, and used it as a cover story to get rich. That is not just a crime, it is a sin. And it hurts deep down in the soul of this nation. Folks, I want to take you deeper into why this hurts so much. When we talk about a substance abuse clinic, we aren't just talking about a building with walls and a roof. We are talking about a lifeline. We are talking about the last strand of hope for a mother whose son is lost to drugs. We are talking about a father who is praying on his knees for a place that can save his little girl. Now, I want you to imagine that mother. She hears about a new program funded by millions of dollars right in her neighborhood in Minneapolis. She thinks finally help is coming. Finally, my boy has a chance. She drives to the address, her heart pounding with that desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, this is the day things get better. She pulls up to the curb, looks out the window, And what does she see? She doesn't see a doctor. She doesn't see a counselor waiting with open arms. She sees a restaurant. She sees people eating lunch, laughing, serving food. The clinic isn't real. The help isn't there. The hope she held onto, it was stolen. It was snatched away by politicians who looked at her suffering and saw a way to make a quick buck. That $1 million. That massive pile of cash that Congresswoman Omar tried to funnel there could have bought real beds for sick kids. It could have paid for real therapy. It could have saved lives. But instead, the plan was to send it to a group of friends, just 3 people, to line their pockets. They were going to trade human lives for profit. It makes you sick to your stomach, doesn't it? It makes you want to scream. But listen to me, because this is where the tears turn into strength. President Trump knows this pain. He has traveled to the towns in Ohio and New Hampshire and West Virginia that have been hollowed out by addiction. He has looked into the eyes of those grieving parents, and when he saw this report this morning, he didn't just see a financial crime. He saw the faces of the forgotten. He saw that mother in the car, crying because the clinic was a lie. And that is why he is moving with such fury and speed today. He is declaring that nobody, and I mean nobody, gets to steal hope from the American people on his watch. He is standing between the wolves and the sheep, and he is saying no more. This isn't just about politics anymore, my friends. This is a battle for the very soul of our communities. And thank the good Lord, we have a fighter in the White House who refuses to back down. You might be asking yourself right now, Harlan, how did they think they could get away with this? And that is the question that keeps me up at night. The answer is simple, and it is terrifying. They thought nobody was watching. They thought you were too busy working, too busy raising your kids to notice the fine print. But they were wrong. This story didn't just start this morning. The cracks in their wall of lies started to show back in December, just last month. Brave men and women, whistleblowers who love this country more than their own jobs, started whispering this truth. They saw money moving in ways that didn't make sense. They saw cash flowing not to doctors or therapists, but to political consultants and family members. It was a web of secrets spun right under our noses. Then, just a few days ago, the trap was set. They tried to slip this $1 million payout into a huge spending bill. You know the kind. Thousands of pages long, filled with confusing words, designed so that nobody reads it. They hid it there like a thief hiding stolen jewels in a dark corner. They thought it would pass through, signed and sealed, before anyone realized the clinic was a ghost. But thank God for the patriots we have fighting for us. Republicans in the House, led by good men like Tom Emmer from Minnesota, were awake. They were reading every line. And when they saw that address 12.3 Main Street, something clicked. They checked it. They didn't just take Ilhan Omar's word for it. They looked at the map. And what did they find? No ambulance entrance, no reception desk for patients, just that restaurant. It sends a chill down my spine to think about how close they came to stealing that money. If those patriots hadn't been vigilant, if President Trump hadn't created this culture of fighting back, that $1 million would be gone. It would be in the pockets of insiders right now while our streets are still suffering. But President Trump doesn't let things slide. When he heard about the whistleblowers and the fake address, he didn't wait for a committee to form. He didn't wait for a report to be written 6 months from now. He blasted the truth out for the whole world to see. He shined a giant spotlight on their dark secrets. He showed us that when you have a leader who puts America first, the liars have nowhere to hide. We caught them, folks. We caught them because we finally have a president who is looking out for us. Now, I want to step away from the numbers for a minute. I want to talk about the real heartbeat of this country. I want to talk about you. Because while these politicians were busy plotting in their closed-door meetings, thinking they were smarter than us, everyday Americans were watching. And let me tell you, the reaction I have been seeing today, it brings tears to my eyes. It is a mix of anger, yes, but mostly it is a profound feeling of relief that finally we have someone who listens. I was on the phone just yesterday with a good man named Mike from Ohio. He drives a truck for a living, long hours, hard work, missing his kids' soccer games just to keep the lights on. He is the backbone of this nation. And when I told him about this fake clinic, about this money being stolen, his voice cracked. You could hear the pain and the exhaustion in it. He said to me, "Harlan, my nephew is fighting addiction right now. We have been praying for a place that could help him. Real clinics save lives. But seeing these people use their pain just to get rich, it makes my blood boil." Mike isn't alone. I've been reading messages all morning from people like you, from every corner of this great land. A veteran in Texas, a man who served this country with honor and put his life on the line for our freedom, told me, "Trump is like a bulldog. He latches onto corruption and he doesn't let go until justice is served." A mom in Florida who worries every day about her kid's future and paying the bills wrote to me saying, "This is why we voted for him, to stop the stealing, to put America first." Hearing these stories, it just breaks you down and builds you back up again. It reminds me that this isn't about Republicans or Democrats. It is about right and wrong. It is about a father in Ohio wanting to save his nephew and a president in the White House saying, "I will help you. I will fight for you." That connection between the leader and the people is something special. It is something powerful. And today, as the truth comes out, that bond is stronger than ever. We are not just watching history happen. We are part of it, standing side by side with a man who truly cares about us. Now, I need you to take a deep breath, because what I am about to tell you next is going to make you angry. But it is also going to show you why President Trump's victory is so important. This fake clinic, this restaurant masquerading as a place of healing, it is not an accident. It is not just one bad apple. It is part of a pattern. It is part of a history of theft that has been hurting good people in Minnesota for years. Let's go back a little bit. Remember the tough times? Remember when the pandemic hit and families were scared, schools were closed, and moms and dads were worried about how to feed their babies? The government sent money, lots of it, to make sure no child went to bed with a grumbling tummy. But in Ilhan Omar's district, something dark was happening. While you were praying for your family's safety, fraudsters were stealing. We are talking about over $250 million. That is a number so big, it is hard to even imagine. That money was supposed to buy sandwiches and milk for hungry kids. Instead, it was siphoned off. It went into fake meal sites that didn't exist. It was wired overseas to buy fancy cars and big houses. They took the food right out of the mouths of children and turned it into luxury for themselves. And here's the kicker, the part that makes you want to weep for our country. Some of the same people, the same networks that were tied to those heartless scams are linked to this new clinic. It is a web of deceit. It is like they looked at our kindness, our desire to help the poor, and saw it as a weakness to exploit. They thought they could keep doing it forever. They thought nobody would stop them, but they forgot one thing. They forgot about Donald J. Trump. Under his leadership, the Department of Justice isn't sleeping anymore. They are dropping subpoenas, legal orders that demand the truth, left and right. They are shining a bright, hot light into the darkest corners of this fraud. Trump is saying, "You hurt our children. You stole from our seniors. Not anymore." He is standing up for every grandma who needed help and didn't get it. He is fighting for every child who missed a meal because a crook got greedy. It is a righteous fight, folks, and he is winning it for us. Folks, I want you to follow me on a journey. Now, I want you to follow the money. And I warn you, where this road leads, it is not pretty. It is a road paved with greed. We are talking about $1 million. That is a lot of zeros. For most of us, that is a lifetime of hard work, sweat, and saving every penny. But for Ilhan Omar and her circle, it seems it was just another payday. Let's look at how this scheme actually worked, because the simplicity of it is what makes it so insulting. They didn't even try to hide it. Well, they didn't build a complex maze. They just opened a door to a restaurant and put out a sign that said, "Clinic, They expected the check to clear without anyone asking a single question. Imagine an armored truck leaving the US Treasury. That is your money. The money they take from your paycheck before you even see it. It drives all the way to Minnesota. But instead of stopping at a hospital where doctors are waiting to heal people, it stops at a takeout joint. The driver unloads bags of cash, brings them inside, past the tables and chairs, and dumps them on the counter next to the menu. That is literally what they tried to do. They tried to turn a place that sells dinner into a place that bills the government for medical care. It is a slap in the face to every honest business owner in this country. Think about the local bakery or the mechanic shop in your town. They follow the rules, they pay their permits, they work 14 hours a day just to keep the doors open. And here comes a politician who thinks she can just print money for her friends by changing a label on a building. It makes you feel like they are laughing at us, doesn't it? Like they think we are just foolish people who exist to pay for their lifestyle. But President Trump, he isn't laughing. He is a businessman. He knows numbers. He knows that when you pay for a clinic, you should get a clinic. He looked at this deal. He looked at the paperwork and he saw the lie immediately. He is the only one standing in the room saying, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't add up. And because he has the courage to ask that question, the whole house of cards is falling down. He is stopping the theft before it can disappear into the night. And for that, we owe him everything. I need to take a moment here because my heart is just overflowing with a mix of sadness and gratitude. When we talk about this money, this $1 million, it is easy to just see numbers on a screen. But I want you to close your eyes and think about what that money really means. That money is the sweat on your brow after a double shift. It is the birthday present you couldn't afford to buy for your grandchild. It is the heating bill you worried about paying last winter. You gave that money to your country because you are a good person. You trusted them. And while you were sitting at your kitchen table, cutting coupons just to buy groceries, these people were sitting in that restaurant laughing. They were laughing because they thought you didn't matter. They thought the forgotten man and the forgotten woman would stay forgotten forever. They looked down from their high towers and saw us as nothing more than a source of cash for their deck schemes. It breaks my heart to say it, but they really believed they were better than us. They thought they could take the bread from our tables and we wouldn't even notice. It makes me want to cry. Thinking about how long this has been going on. How many times have we been tricked? How many times have we been told to tighten our belts while they loosen theirs? It is a pain that sits deep in your chest, the feeling of being used by the very people who promised to serve you. But then came the dawn. President Trump, he didn't just win an election, he won a war for our dignity. When he exposed this restaurant scheme today, he wasn't just catching a crook. He was telling every single one of us, I see you, you are not forgotten anymore. He looked at the single mom in Detroit, the farmer in Iowa, the factory worker in Pennsylvania, and he said, this is your money, this is your country, and I will not let them steal it from you. That kind of love, and yes, I call it love, is rare. It brings tears to my eyes to know that we finally have a champion who stands in the gap for us. He stopped the laughter in that restaurant, and he gave the voice back to the people. He found us when we felt lost, and he is fighting to make sure we never feel small again. You know, there's a word we don't hear enough in Washington, but it is a word that President Trump uses all the time. That word is loyalty. Not loyalty to a party or to a donor, but loyalty to us, to the people. Today, in the midst of all this shock and anger about the fake clinic, I saw something beautiful rise up. I saw loyalty in action. When President Trump stood up and said, indictments are coming, he wasn't just talking about punishing the bad guys. He was making a promise to the future. He was looking at our children and saying, I'm going to clean this mess up so you don't have to. Think about that for a second. Think about what it means to have a president who is willing to take the heat, willing to be attacked by the media every single day just to make sure your tax dollars are safe. It is a sacrifice. It is a labor of love, and it is working Because of his strength, we are seeing the cracks in the swamp widen. We are seeing the light pour in. This isn't just about stopping $1 million from being stolen today. It is about setting a standard for tomorrow. It is about sending a message that echoes through history. In America, we do not cheat. In America, we do not steal from the poor. In America, we look out for our neighbors. And as I sit here, wiping away tears of gratitude, I feel a surge of hope I haven't felt in a long time. Because if we can stop this, if we can expose this level of corruption, then there is nothing we can't do. We are taking our country back one victory at a time, and we are doing it with a leader who loves this land as much as we do. The storm is here, yes, but so is the captain, and he is steering us home. And so, my friends, we come to the end of this broadcast, but it is really just the beginning of a new chapter for America. We have walked through the darkness together tonight. We have seen the greed that tried to steal our hope, and we have seen the courage that stopped it dead in its tracks. But before I say goodnight, I want you to remember one thing. You are not alone. Look around you, look at your neighbors, look at the people in your church, in your grocery store, at your kids' baseball game. We are all in this together, and now we have a president who is standing right there with us, holding the line. President Trump has shown us that when we stand up for what is right, when we refuse to let them take advantage of us, we win, and we win big. This victory stopping this fake clinic, saving that $1 million, it is a victory for every single one of you. It is proof that your voice matters. It is proof that truth still has power in this world. And let me tell you, that feeling, it warms my heart more than I can say. It makes me believe that the best days of this great nation are not behind us, but right in front of us, shining bright like the morning sun. So tonight, go hug your loved ones, tell them you love them, and go to sleep knowing that your country is in good hands. We are safe, we are strong, and we are free. Thank you for listening, thank you for caring, and thank you for being the patriots that you are. This is Harlan, signing off. But before you go, please, from the bottom of my heart, I ask you to subscribe to this channel. Hit that like button. Share this video with everyone you know. We need to keep this truth train moving. We need to reach every ear and every heart in America. Together, we are unstoppable. God bless you. God bless President Trump. And may God forever bless the United States of America. Good night.